Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel, and today it's a what am I sowing and what am I growing in October video. And I've got to say, I'm pretty pleased with the way everything's going. We've got a lot of seedlings on the go and they're going to get planted actually in the polytunnel today. And then we've got just a few seedlings that we're still going to sow in October. And most of those are going to be lettuces, small lettuces for overwintering, and brassicas for overwintering. So there's not that much really, and I will put probably another batch of carrots in, and again they'll be overwintered in the polytunnel, and we'll be harvesting those in sort of April, May time. And that gives us a nice continuity of carrots. And obviously it's the same with the brassicas. You know, we really like to get early cauliflowers and early calabrese, early Romanesco cauliflowers, early spring cabbages and things like that. And so, you know, it's nice to have a nice succession going. And I've got a little shelf that I'll put up, which I'll show you later, in the polytunnel, and that's where I kind of keep all my overwintered stuff. I'll probably pop a little bit as it matures into the mini greenhouse. So I'll get on now and I'll show you what we've got in the polytunnel that we're going to be planting over the next couple of days. And mostly that's the winter salad crops, but we have got some brassicas as well that we'll be growing over winter, that we're ready to plant. And yeah, then I'll take you home and I'll get on the computer and I'll show you the database that I use to manage all of my varieties and all of the sowings and things like that. And that database is freely available and all the details are in the description. So if you fancy following along or creating your own database, etc., then you can all do that. So with that, let's take a look at what we're growing. So this is the messy polytunnel, and we're going to clear it all out today. I'm going to do another video all about that, but this is the grow bench. And as you can see, we've got a pretty lovely collection on here of seedlings, and of course we've got way more than we need for the polytunnel because some of it's going to go outside. We've got some fantastic lettuces. This one's Roxy, this one's Grenoble Red, this one's Beetroot, and we've got some Kohlrabi, that's Azure Purple, and that's going to go in a cold frame. It's a bit late for it to go outside now. And we've got some Tessie, I think that one is, yeah. Now that's not actually a winter lettuce, but it's a very nice lettuce, so we are going to just try it out a little, just a few of them, just to see how they go. These are the first batch of the brassicas for overwintering. There's a lovely collection here. So we've got calabrese, we've got dazzling blue kale, we've got Duncan, which is a cabbage, spring cabbage, some more Duncan, some hungry gap kale. You can see that some of this has been eaten by little tiny caterpillars, and I have sprayed it with BT in the hope of getting those under control. Got some more dazzling blue kale and some Romanesco cauliflowers, and we've got lots more of these to come. And then we've got our onions. So here we've got Tough Ball, which is an overwintering onion, and then we've got Stir On, which that's a main crop onion that you can sow in February, but you can also overwinter it, and you can also grow it as a spring onion. So we've got quite a bit of this. This is Winter Marvel, and I'm not sure about this one, but we'll give it a go, probably if the cold frame opens up. And we've got one batch of spinach. We've got two more batches at home. They're not going to be planted for a couple of weeks, but that one's going to get planted today. And I've got two trays of Grenoble Red, and this one's Bijou. That's one of my favourite winter lettuces, and there's some more little Bijous there. And then this is Stir On. These are planted in theory 9 to a cell, but I don't count them, so sometimes there's 6 and sometimes there's 10, and yeah, so they're going to get planted up. These are some more overwintered onions, and then going outside there's some lamb's lettuce, just waiting for a bed to open up for that. And what's this one? This is Freckles, I think, and this is a lovely winter lettuce as well. It's not quite as good as Novara, but it's extremely hardy, so I really like that. There's a few radish, you can find a few spots for those, and there's some radicchio, and these are really just spares because most of them are outside now. And then we've got the polytunnel brassicas, and you can see these also have suffered a little bit from these little tiny caterpillars. I'm not quite sure what they are, but they're probably a moth, I think, in fact. Again, these have been sprayed with BT, so there's Carvalho Nero, reflex curly kales. And these desperately want to get in the ground now. And then they'll kind of spring to life, and all this damage on the leaves, we don't care about that. You know, once they're in the ground, they'll shoot up from the growing points. And I got some, I can't remember which variety this is, but it's a purple sprouting broccoli, but I really like the leaves on this. They're really lovely and tender, so we're just planting these in little clumps. I think there's 3 in that one and 2 in that one, and hopefully that will mean, like we get for sprouts, an abundance of leaves. We're not growing these for the actual purple sprouting broccoli, just for the leaves. Some lovely red kale, and some more of those early purple ears, purple sprouting broccoli growing for the leaves. A few more kales, and unfortunately we did put some of this in. This is winter miner's lettuce, but I've got nowhere outside available for it, so it's suffered a little bit now, so I think that'll probably get binned, but it's no great loss. Winter miner's lettuce is okay, but if you've got abundance of alternatives, then might as well get those planted. So there we go. Now I will very quickly just show you a couple of the lettuce beds and other beds outside. Last month I planted this watermelon radish, and that's growing on really nicely. And you can eat the leaves, of course, and also you can eat the radish. So this is a mixed bed. Dual purpose. This is red rhubarb. This is lovely salad kale, but we also grow it on like this, big leaves. We use those just like we would use chard, for example. So these are the field beans. This is our first crop of field beans that I planted when I did the last video. And you harvest them just by pinching out the growing points. So for example, you would pinch out that, and then you would use that just like spinach, and they just keep throwing up new shoots. I actually harvested this bed on Saturday, and it's Monday today, and already there's new shoots growing up, and you can see loads down there as well. So it kind of is hard to keep up with it at this time of year, but it's really intended for December and January and February, when we won't have very much spinach available. So that's growing pretty nicely. Put some spinach in outside, and this will get covered soon in a cold frame because it's it's October tomorrow, I think, and so it'll need a little bit of protection to grow away nice and strong. So I've got another bed of red kitten, and again this really needs some protection to get it moving, but right now I can't actually put a cold frame lid on because of the New Zealand spinach bed, which is so huge. So I think I'm going to have to cut this back at the back there, and then I'll be able to get a cold frame lid on, and obviously I can continue harvesting all of this. But also the kind of benefit of getting the cold frame lid on is all these leaves. We get so many leaves falling in, and under all these leaves pretty soon there'll be slugs, and so I try and keep all the rotting leaves out of the beds, and of course the cold frame lids serve that purpose. So all those lettuces that you saw in the polytunnel, they're a few weeks away from harvest. Probably start harvesting those in November, but we've got some gorgeous lettuces here under the coal frames, under the hoop tunnels, and these are interplanted with spring onions, and you can see they're doing lovely and being harvested constantly. Again, it's hard to keep up with harvest rates at this time of year, but by the time we get to December, January and February, we'll need every lettuce that we've got to keep us going. So I'm back home now, just got a bit of spinach. Oh, that's disappointing, look, it's even going to seed. Not so good. And a few tomatoes, so that hopefully we'll be harvesting from those in April, or cuttings off those probably more likely. Some more spinach, and these are some of the overwintered brassicas. So actually there's a bit of rocket there, some dazzling blue kale, some, can't even read that one, all year round cauliflower, and some marathon calabrese. I've just got a few spare lettuces, some more Navara there, some spring onions, a bit more Navara, some winter density, and some stir on, again, spring onions. Finally my last cucumber, which is actually growing quite nicely. Some of them are probably dying off. I think they might have got a bit cold last night actually. Some of them are okay. Who knows? Just an experiment to see if I could get a late crop. Probably not. So I'm on the computer now, and I thought I'd just quickly look at the database that I use to manage all my sowings schedule, and what's going to go on this month in October. Not very much. So I'm going to sow some carrots. Some of those will go into containers, and I think I'm going to sow some of those into some of my low tunnels, because I've got 2 low tunnels and I need one of them for spinach, and basically I've got nothing else to put in them. So I thought, well, let's give some carrots a try. Ideally I would have sown them a bit early, but I've got peppers in them at the moment. So sometime within the next week or 2 weeks, I'm going to get some carrots in there. I'll probably bung a little bit of Mizuna in. I'm not a massive fan of Mizuna, but it makes a nice addition to the winter salads. Obviously I'm going to start some of my garlic towards the end of October, and some green garlic. We put, because we obviously harvest a lot of garlic in June, we've got more garlic than we need. So, if we've got any low quality bulbs, we'll just split those up and bung them in at close density to use as green garlic in May. And I'll probably put one last batch of brassicas in. So I'll put some spring cabbage in, Duncan is probably what we'll put in, some calabrese, marathon, some snowball, cauliflower, and some sprouts. I'll put those in little clumps of 3 plants. All those brassicas, the cabbage, the calabrese, the cauliflower and the sprouts, they'll overwinter in pots in the polytunnel, and I'll only get planted out sort of probably March time. I've got earlier batches that will get planted out in February. Some of them might get planted out in the polytunnel, some of them get planted out into cold frames, and some of them get planted out into just open unprotected beds, and it just depends when they go. Watch the videos for those months and you'll see what gets planted out where and when. And then broad beans. We've already planted all of our field beans. Those were all planted in September, because obviously we want to harvest the field beans as soon as possible. In fact, we started harvesting them about 2 weeks ago. They're growing really well. The second batch we just put in last week, and they're not up yet. And so the broad beans, end of October basically, is when those will go in. So that's pretty much it. That's what I'm sowing in October. See you soon.